Alright, before we start the video, if you want to see more of this content, make sure to like the video and subscribe with the notifications turned on. And if you have any opinions about the content, leave them down in the comments section below. We'd love to hear them. And let's get started with the video.
Hi, my name's Cameron Fisher.
And I'm Dylan Maynor.
And welcome to the very first episode of For Your Reviewing Pleasure. Now, this podcast, For Your Reviewing Pleasure, is going to be all about movies that are being released, movie culture, award shows, and our ultimate goal is to not only see and review as many movies as possible, but make a connection with our audience. If you go see the movies that we review, we would love to hear what you have to say about them. Today, we're going to be reviewing the only new movie that's out this weekend, Escape Room, as well as cover the film categories of the Golden Globes that are coming up this Sunday. So, Escape Room is a psychological thriller about 6 strangers who find themselves in circumstances beyond their control and must use their wits to find the clues or die. Escape Room is rated PG-13 for terror and perilous action, violence, some suggestive material, and language.
It was written by Bragi F. Schutt and Maria Melnick, and it was directed by Adam Robitel.
Let's go ahead and start talking about this movie, right? So, I enjoyed Escape Room.
I cannot say the same, Cameron. I thought it was mediocre at best.
Mediocre at best.
Really. There was quite a few things that I just found quite ordinary about the film. I mean, yes, it would be pretty popular with the trend of escape rooms this year, but I just think it didn't really do as much as it could have to be, what's the word for it? I think it could have...
Unique?
I think it could have been way more unique. I found it really ordinary, stereotypical, really. Let's start with the cinematography and all the shots they got. Really, I didn't really find anything too unique, too captivating, really, with the cinematography. It's quite basic, for a film.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily anything too eye-catching, but I mean, a lot of the shots were focused on the clues, and it was things that were important to the plot. But I wouldn't say anything was necessarily like groundbreaking.
Yeah, no, I just didn't really find any real creative elements to the cinematography. There wasn't any creative shots. Really, they did some stuff with CGI and effects, but nothing near like some other films that have come out recently.
I think it's also important to note, though, that the budget for Escape Room is $9 million.
$9 million, okay.
Very low.
That does help it out a little bit. The editing, it went okay.
There was some very clever editing.
There was, but they did cut around some parts that came back later. But there was a couple shots in there that didn't really make sense. Like, I'm not going to say what shots they were, but there were a few shots that somewhat repeated, I guess. They weren't really necessary, and They kind of confused me a little bit. There were some unnecessary shots. Let's talk about the acting, though. What was your opinion on that?
I thought that... Okay, I think that in film acting, when the script and the writing is putting these actors into the situation that's, like, perilous and trying to derive some sort of, like, terror from them, it can, like, look really good or really bad. I thought the acting was very good, especially towards the end.
But with some characters, I found it to be very one-dimensional. I'm not sure if that was intentional to make it somewhat comedic, that they were so stereotypical, but...
Well, no big names in this one.
Yeah,
right?
No big names, but for some characters...
The only actor that I recognized was the guy from... He was in
Ben?
Love, Simon. Ben,
the grocery store guy?
Ben from Love, Simon.
So, Ben, I also agree with you. Very good acting job.
Yeah.
His character had a lot of depth, but some other actors, such as Danny, that's what I was talking about, Danny, I found him, like, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but he was so one-dimensional, like, but, I mean, it's not...
Is it fair to say that when the writers gave characters depth, they put it to use and they grew through that, but when the writers didn't help them at all, they didn't do much.
Anyways, let's move on to the production design, the setting, different props.
I mean, you can
tools
see
they used.
You can see in the trailer all of the different rooms that they're put into.
Definitely.
Everything was very attentive to detail in the building of the sets in terms of like the ways that the clues move them further.
There was a lot of attention to detail, but there were very few points of detail really. Like since I agree with you, since they focused on the clues and stuff, those details were very fine and very specific, but then the rest of the room was just plain and ordinary. I'm not sure if that's to differentiate from the clues from the normal stuff, but I just think they could have done a little more with that.
I agree. I would also say this kind of ties back into the writing of the film. With the clues and the rooms, everything was just a little bit too convenient.
Yeah, no, definitely. There were certain parts throughout the film that were somewhat how it's just like, whoa, they did this action just in time, or something along those lines. It was just so
which could be argued that it's necessary for that kind of
It's necessary for them to get through it and continue on the story, but they could have done it a bit differently so it wasn't as obvious as it was, because that just really takes you out of the situation and disconnects you from those characters, making it a bit less real.
Absolutely. All right, just cap off this non-spoiler review with your 1 through 10 scale. Out of 10, what would you give Escape Room?
I would give it, I'm gonna say a 5. It wasn't, I'm not saying it was bad, but there wasn't enough there to make me really move for it. It wasn't captivating enough for me specifically with the different points. There were like a bunch of little details that I just really messed with me, but it wasn't like something major which would make it lower, but there wasn't enough to make it higher, so 5.
Would you watch the movie again?
I wouldn't watch the movie again. No, I just don't think I could, because part of the reason it's a 5 is because it was kind of basic, and I think that would be really, really difficult to repeat watch, that I just couldn't do it. What about you?
So I'd give the film a 7.
7?
Out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy the acting and the editing and the production design more than you did, I think. While the writing was a little bit one-dimensional, I think it's a 7 out of 10 for me. And even though I enjoyed the film, I don't think it has any kind of rewatching value.
Definitely.
Because some of what made this movie good was that we were able to solve some of the clues and puzzles along the way with the cast. But now we know. We know the
yes,
how everything went.
But a big part, see, in this film, the clues, they were key to the storyline, and you have to look at them to continue on with the film. But there wasn't enough like subtext and subplots really, or clues like within the film which would make you have to rewatch it to really find and understand those. There wasn't enough of that to make it rewatchable. So I give it a 5, you give it a 7. That is our non-spoiler review for Escape Room. Now, if you do not want spoilers, you can stop watching here, go see the film yourself, and
we'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
Definitely give us your opinion.
We are going to put a timestamp on the screen to go to skip over the spoilers and go to our coverage of the Golden Globe Film Category Awards.
So if you don't want to see spoilers for Escape Room, but you want to see the Golden Globes, click on the screen now. But if you are here for the spoilers, or if you've already seen the film, here's our spoiler review of Escape Room.
Okay, so this is our spoiler-filled continuation of our review of Escape Room. I think one of the things that's really important to mention in the review, something that was done really, really well, was the usage of certain traumas, that every escape room goer was the sole survivor of a traumatic event. So rooms in the escape room were tailored specifically to those experiences.
Yes, they were themed around there.
So some of our clues were callbacks to the flashbacks of these traumatic experiences. And it really helped drive the emotional acting aspects of the movie.
Definitely. I really enjoyed that part. How it wasn't just random escape rooms. It was related to each one of their accidents or tragedies in life. And throughout the rooms they had PTSD, or like they flashed back to their events throughout the room, which sometimes helped them solve the clues in the room to escape. And I think that was one of the key parts of the movie that I actually enjoyed. Now, let's talk about what was another thing? What was one thing that you didn't really enjoy that much pertaining to the movie's plot or the storyline or whatnot?
Well, everything which with a movie like this, I can't like really diss the writers because I know that it had to have been done like this, but everything was done very conveniently, and a lot of the clues and outcomes for the solutions to the escape room were very predictable. And I'm not sure if the writers were intending to do this to try and have a little bit of audience interaction in attempting to solve the puzzles, but it felt off.
Well, that just goes...
I wanted more twists. I just wanted more suspense.
With the way they progressed the story. Like throughout the movie, it was very easily predictable for me and Cam to just like think of whatever the next step would be, which makes sense for the escape rooms. Like you have to like progress it in that straightforward line, but they could have made it just a bit more creative and a bit more in depth with each of the clues and stuff. Maybe having some clues be related to later rooms, or just made it more so you can't really predict the next move each time. Otherwise, it gets somewhat boring, honestly.
Yeah, but I think that something that was done very creatively was not allowing everyone to stay alive, because it kind of raises the stakes. This is kind of where we get into the spoilers of it, but
so
four of our 6 escape room characters died throughout. Whether it was a quote from the game master was that they were killing each other rather than the rooms killing them. But you know, as soon as that first death happens on screen with Danny drowning under the ice, was that, you know, this is real.
Yes, definitely. It wasn't really like they have to
maybe
work together.
A little bit of writer's foreshadowing, because Danny says some line in the very first room where he's like, now that's cool, or like, now that's real. I don't remember what exactly he says.
Well, Danny basically, his character was just like a proof of concept, really, because we didn't really go into that much depth with Danny, but he was more of a proof of concept that the rooms are very dangerous and you can die if you do not escape them, which I think is key to the film. But then, as I said earlier in the non-spoiler review, he was more like the one-dimensional characters that I didn't really like, but I'm not sure that was intentional or not. But I just think they could have done at least a bit more with him to make him more somewhat believable.
Well, it was a nice curveball when he did die, because he's introduced as a lover of escape rooms that's done over 90 escape rooms. So you're thinking he's going to walk in and like solve this whole thing, but like the group is left without him.
Yes.
After one slip up on his part.
Yep, he's gone. So, and then let's another part that I enjoyed with the film was one of the few twists was with Zoe.
So Zoe was one of our escape room goers, and she kind of goes off her rocker a bit. So she goes kind of crazy in one of the rooms. She starts destroying security cameras and all that. And we're led to believe before one of the last rooms is that she dies from carbon monoxide poisoning.
They're in this hospital room with all of their medical files from each of their accidents and the beds from their accidents. And she's in the room, and if they don't escape within 5 minutes, noxious gas fills the room and they all die, which was actually from Danny's trauma, which his family died in a carbon monoxide poisoning accident. So she's left in the room. She's supposedly dead from the gas because she doesn't leave with Ben and Jason. She doesn't leave with Ben and Jason. Ben and Jason advance. She stays there. She's supposedly dead. But then later, two of the people controlling the game, they come into the room, and they find an oxygen mask, which what was she doing with this? And then she used it to survive the noxious gas with the oxygen mask, and she jumps both of them and knocks them out, which was a very key twist because it seemed very believable that she could have died. I mean, just like all the rest of them up to that point, because there wasn't really anything super special about it. There was a bit more background information. Depth, yeah, because in the first few scenes before they went to the escape room, she had a bit more depth, and we got to know her character more than some of the others, but it wasn't really super predictable that she survived.
Yeah, when she actually comes back and saves the day in the end. She saves our boy Ben.
So when Ben escapes the last room away from Jason dies, Ben survives, and then he meets the game master, and the game master attempts to strangle him, but then since she got a gun from one of the people she knocked out, she saves him, which is a big twist, because two of them survive instead of one, as the game was supposed to play out. But that was definitely a big twist, that one of the few parts that I enjoyed throughout the film. Now let's talk about...
I do have a criticism.
I was going to say, what's another thing that you really didn't really come through?
Our scene with Ben and Jason after the hospital room, but before the final room.
In the trippy room?
There was a hatch opening on the ground where it was contact psychedelics on their hands. And it looked like very cheap After Effects work for like their point of view.
For the hallucinogenic scene, the way they edited it and used CGI and whatnot to make it seem like they were hallucinating, tripping.
Yeah,
and
they were like showing their faces melting.
But
then there were very strong strobe lights that were just very, very gimmicky.
Yes, definitely.
And it's like there's a much better way that you can go about doing a scene like that and trying to alter their consciousness rather than...
It was very... this was one of the things
very
that...
elementary.
Continuing throughout the film, there were certain parts that I found like really stereotypical and common, and that was one of the parts that was just very basic that I didn't really enjoy as much as some of the other parts.
There's a big emotional reveal through Jason admitting that he killed his roommate to survive, and that it's survival of the fittest, and it could have been such a smart and intelligent fight scene between the two of them at the end, but it truly fell flat when they started altering the consciousness.
With the consciousness, the way they edited it, didn't really show that much. It was more just like them rolling around the floor, struggling.
Yes.
Which is intense, which is what they were going for, but they could have made it more emotional, per se, with Jason's reveal. It was just more just basic action-y, them like fighting for it, whatnot, then it could have been much better. Anything else for that spoiler review?
Well, at the very end, it does set up a potential sequel.
Yeah.
Would you like to see a sequel, Dylan?
I think if this movie does well and they can get a better production for it and maybe change a few things that would make it less basic and less common, like stereotypical, then yes, I would definitely go see a sequel for that. So,
I would enjoy a sequel as well.
Definitely. So
I think that there's a lot that could be done with this premise, but it just does fall a little flat in the execution. But if you like a good suspense thriller type movie, this is a great movie for you to watch.
Definitely. So I believe, and unless there's any last words, I believe that concludes our spoiler review for Escape Room. Now, after this, we're going to do our Golden Globe categories review.
All right, this is our coverage of the upcoming Golden Globe Awards. We will be covering the film categories. The Golden Globes is airing on Sunday night. So let's go ahead and get started. I saw quite a few movies this year. Most of the movies that are nominated, I made it out to see.
Nice. So let's start out with our first category, Best Motion Picture for Drama. The nominees are Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. Now, Cam, I hear you think BlacKkKlansman does not belong in this category. Why is that?
BlacKkKlansman, and if you've seen BlacKkKlansman, I would love to hear your take on this. BlacKkKlansman was a lot more of a comedy than a drama. I think that from a very surface level thing, you look at the situation and you think, oh, that's dramatic. That's a dramatic subject matter. But it's really the way that they tell the story. There's a lot of jokes written in the way that Spike Lee directed it. It's done in a very comedic way that's making fun of the groups involved in good taste. But Black Klansman should be in the comedy and musical category rather than the drama category.
All right. So now, who do you think should win this category, and who do you think actually will win at the Golden Globes for this category?
I think A Star is Born should win, and I think A Star is Born will win.
Why is that?
Well, all around, it was a really great movie. In the writing, the music, the acting, directing, all across the board, it was a very well done film. And I think that it will win just because the same thing that we saw with La La Land in its award season was that the movie is about the industry, so it appeals to people in the industry.
Yeah, definitely has like a big musical aspect to it, which appeals to a lot more people than someone just looking to watch an old movie. So,
Agreed.
Yep. Now for our next category, we have Best Actress in a Motion Picture for Drama. The nominees are Glenn Close in The Wife, Lady Gaga in A Star is Born, Nicole Kidman for Destroyer, Melissa McCarthy in Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Rosamund Pike in A Private War. So, who do you think should win for this category?
All right, well, I can't speak too much on this one. While I did say earlier that I was able to make it out to a lot of the movies on this list, this category is an exception. The only movie that I made it out to out of these was A Star is Born. So I think that Lady Gaga should win. And once again, I think that she will win.
Yeah, Lady Gaga definitely has the popularity factor going for her. First of all, she's already very well known, and as well as her being able to take advantage of her musical talents in this film, that just increases her acting performance.
Yeah. Could have very easily done a dub over of some of the music like we saw with The Greatest Showman that was out around this time last year. But no, they actually sang and like played all the music themselves, which was very impressive. It gives a bit of realism and to what's going on in terms of the musical aspect.
All right, for our next category, we have Best Actor in a Motion Picture for Drama. We have Bradley Cooper in A Star is Born, Willem Dafoe at Eternity's Gate, Lucas Hedges in Boy Erased, Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, and John David Washington in Black Klansman. Now, this is an interesting one. There's a lot of good films on here. Who do you think should win for this one?
So I made it out to see every movie here except for At Eternity's Gate. But of the 4 movies that I did see, I think that the strongest acting performance, the most moving performance, came from Lucas Hedges with Boy Erased. He's a very young guy still. His dad's a writer for Hollywood, so he's gotten a lot of really strong roles that he's been cast in as of recent. And no, I think he really made me emotional watching his performance in this, which doesn't happen all too often. So I think that he deserves the win for this, for Best Actor.
But who do you think will win?
I think it's a toss-up between Rami Malek and Bradley Cooper. Now, Rami Malek, it was a true transformation into that character of Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Definitely.
But Bradley Cooper really brought in a lot of those core acting elements that you want to see in a good performance.
All right. Now, for our next category, we have Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The nominees are Crazy Rich Asians, The Favorite, Green Book, Mary Poppins Returns, and Vice. Now, who do you think should win for this one?
So I saw most of these movies here. A lot of very strong movies, in my opinion, for this musical comedy genre. But I think that The Favorite should win. I think that it was the best film overall, The writing was phenomenal. The acting was phenomenal. The production design was incredible in how they were able to transform back into a time in Europe that we currently do not live in.
Yes, definitely with these historical movies, definitely the setting and the context for these is very important to it being a good film. And then, but even though you think the favorite should win, who do you think will actually win for this category?
I think Green Book is probably going to take it for this category. Another historical movie takes place in the Deep South during the Civil Rights Movement, about a white driver for an African American pianist. And very strong acting performances. Both of the lead actors got nominations in Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. The writing was also done very well, but in my opinion, I thought Green Book was a little bit safe. I thought it was very safe in its content.
So they could have done more.
Absolutely. I think it could have done more. It was great, but I think more could have been done.
Creative elements and like to move a viewer
to move the audience.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So for our next category, we have Best Actress in a Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy. The nominees are Emily Blunt in Mary Poppins Returns, Olivia Colman in The Favorite, Elsie Fisher in 8th Grade, Charlize Theron in Tully, and Constance Wu in Crazy Rich Asians. Now, I've heard the should win and will win for this category are the same. Who do you think should and will win?
Oh, Olivia Colman in the favorite for sure.
All right.
She played the Queen in this movie. Her comedic delivery was very, very good. She really takes a hold of the script. Takes advantage of it. Really,
do you
really
think
well.
Her use of the script really came through with advancing her character?
Yeah.
All right. Now, for our next category, we have Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The nominees are Christian Bale for Vice, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Mary Poppins Returns, Viggo Mortensen for The Green Book, Robert Redford for The Old Man and the Gun, and John C. Reilly in Stan and Ollie. Who do you think should win for this category?
For should win on this one, and my will win, I think hands down Christian Bale.
In Vice?
His transformation into the role of Dick Cheney was really impressive. You know, you see Christian Bale as Christian Bale, you know, in an interview, and there's so much of a difference from that to his role as Dick Cheney.
Especially playing someone in real life, like currently in these very recent times, like adopting their actual personality as your character. That's very difficult.
I think the mannerisms were very evident. And if Christian Bale does not win the Best Lead Actor in a Musical or Comedy category, I would say that this is a robbery. I would say that this is an absolute robbery of the award.
All right. Now for our next category, we have Best Actress in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture. The nominees are Amy Adams in Vice, Claire Foy in First Man, Regina King in If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone in The Favorite, and Rachel Weisz in also The Favorite.
So for this one, who I think should win is going to be either of the women from The Favorite. Either Emma Stone or Rachel Weisz from The Favorite. Both of them, once again, were phenomenal. The Favorite was a phenomenal movie. But I don't think that either of them will win. I think that it's a conflict of interest.
Who do you think's going to win, though?
Well, like I was saying with the conflict of interest, I think that neither of the Favorite actresses will win, just because they play a lot off of each other, and there's no true standout. You know, they're supporting each other more so than that lead character, in my opinion.
I agree.
I have not seen If Beale Street Could Talk. It just got its wide release today that we are recording this. But a lot of the press that I've seen, I think she's going to take this one.
Regina King and Beale Street Could Talk. All right. Now for our next category, we have Best Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture. The nominees are Mahershala Ali in Green Book, Timothy Chalamet in Beautiful Boy, Adam Driver in Black Klansman, Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell in Vice. Now, who do you think should take this one for this category?
Well, I wasn't a huge fan of the movie as a whole, with the movie being Beautiful Boy. I believe that Timothée Chalamet had the most impactful and moving acting performance in this group of men. I think Timothée Chalamet deserves to win this award. But I believe that Mahershala Ali in Green Book will win this award.
Do you really think he came through within, because you said Green Book, they played it kind of safe, but do you really think he came through with his acting performance?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a fan of Mahershala since Moonlight. I think he was really great in Moonlight. And he plays someone totally different in this movie. It's a totally different character.
Shows his diversity of acting.
He's got a lot of diversity. He was also in the new animated Spider-Man movie as in a supporting role, and you just see the absolute difference in diversity in his types of characters that he's playing, and it's impressive to see. I still think Timothée Chalamet deserves it over Mahershala, but I think that Mahershala is a standout to win this award.
Well, speaking of the new Spider-Man movie, the next category is Best Motion Picture for Animated. The nominees are Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, who do you think should take this one, Cam?
I think that Isle of Dogs should win this one. I'm a very big fan of Wes Anderson. Might go as far to say that Wes Anderson is my favorite director. And this movie, it's fantastic the way that he's able to maintain his directorial style from a live action movie to an animated movie. Also seen with his previous animated movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox. But I think that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will win this award.
Yes, it's one of the most popular films, both superhero and in general, for this year.
It was incredible. I truly enjoyed Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
There weren't very high expectations, but they blew those out of the water.
Absolutely.
It's a very high Rotten Tomatoes rating. It's just an excellent film overall. So I definitely agree with Cam's will win.
It's a good blend. Spider-Man is a very good blend of action and comedy. The animation style is really groundbreaking. What's been done at Sony Pictures Animation, and I think that's probably our front runner for this award. Still think Isle of Dogs was more of a personal favorite, but I totally understand
creative aspects.
Yes, because of the directorial styles of Wes Anderson, but I think that Spider-Man could absolutely win this award.
All right, now for our next category, Best Motion Picture for Foreign Language. Now, I've never seen any of these films because, they don't really come around for us at our theaters. But what's your opinions on these?
Well, of the nominees, Capernaum, Girl, Never Look Away, Roma, and Shoplifters, I only saw Roma, and that's because it was available on Netflix. Still a fantastic film, probably one of the best foreign language films I've ever seen, from the directing to the writing of the piece. I think that it should win, and I think that it will win. But I am somewhat ignorant in this category just because I've only seen the one film.
Understandable. Now for our next category, with directing, it's Best Director of a Motion Picture. The nominees are Bradley Cooper in A Star is Born, Alfonso Cuarón in Roma, Peter Farrelly in Green Book, Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman, and Adam McKay for Vice.
So I think that Adam McKay should win. I think
for Vice.
The way that he did direct that movie was really, really enjoyable. But I think that Bradley Cooper is probably going to take the Best Director win for this one for A Star is Born.
Yeah.
He might end up winning Best Director and Best Actor for that one.
Yeah,
that would be a spectacle to see for a first-time director.
That would be quite interesting to see a first-time director also win a Best Actor award for A Star is Born. That would
it'd be impressive.
Has that happened before?
Yes, I believe that it has happened before. A director directing themselves towards the acting award and the directing award.
It's crazy. All right, for our next category, we have Best Screenplay of a Motion Picture. The nominees are Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara for The Favorite, Barry Jenkins, If Beale Street Could Talk, Adam McKay for Vice, and Peter Farrelly, Nick Vallelonga, Brian Curry for Green Book. Who do you think should take this one?
For best screenplay, I think that Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara should win and will win for their writing of The Favorite. With the rest of these movies that we see, all of the writing is done in a very contemporary manner, the way that we speak today. And sure, it's believable. It's done very well, but in The Favorite, we're looking at a whole different time period.
To take it, the skill it takes to take it all the way back to the time and have it be accurate as well as captivating is quite groundbreaking.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the writing done for that absolutely deserves the award, and I think it will take the award.
So that's the writing, but we also have the sound for it. We have the best original score of a motion picture. The nominees are Marco Beltrami for A Quiet Place, Alexander Desplat for Isle of Dogs, Ludwig Göransson for Black Panther, Justin Hurwitz for First Man, and Mark Scheinman for Mary Poppins Returns. Who do you think should take this one?
I think that Desplat for Isle of Dogs should win. Might be a little bit of a personal preference there once again with how that movie was done, but I think that Mark Scheinman for Mary Poppins Returns will win this one.
Yeah, Mary Poppins Returns is more of a musical film compared to some of these other ones, so it does have a bit of an advantage, but the way they can take that just kind of elevates it above the rest, which is why I think they will win.
Yes, that's why I think that there's a lot of bias when it comes to a movie being mainly around the musical, like the way that Mary Poppins is compared to Isle of Dogs.
So that's the score, but for a final category, we have Best Original Song of a Motion Picture. The nominees are All the Stars for Black Panther, Girl in the Movies for Dumplin', Requiem for a Private War, Revelation for Boy Erased, and Shallow for A Star is Born. Now, who do you think should win this category?
Me personally, I think that Revelation by Troye Sivan from Boy Erased should win this category. It's my personal favorite of the 5 songs. It's really moving and aesthetically pleasing to my ear. But I think that Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper from A Star is Born will end up winning this category.
Lady Gaga's performance in A Star is Born, as well as her musical background, allows her to really take advantage of these original songs in the film. So
I agree completely. And of these 5, I mean, we saw All the Stars from Black Panther and Shallow from A Star is Born having commercial success.
Definitely.
As well, outside of the movies.
All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar is a very popular song.
Both movies made radio play, or both original songs from the movies got radio play, which I think definitely helps the cause for them. But I think that Shallow will take the Best Original Song Golden Globe for this category.
So those are our opinions on the categories for the Golden Globes. If you have a different opinion, or you just want to let us know how you feel or who do you think is going to win for the Golden Globes, let us know in the comments section down below. That has been our review for the Golden Globes.
If you go follow the Instagram at For Your Reviewing Pleasure, all one word, no extra characters in there, For Your Reviewing Pleasure. On Sunday night when the Golden Globes air, I might end up live streaming from Instagram to cover the Golden Globes and kind of give my reactions and opinions throughout the night. So look out for that.
Definitely. So that is concluding our first episode of For Your Reviewing Pleasure. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, leave a comment down below with your opinion on anything in this podcast or what we should do for next time.
Go see Escape Room.
Definitely.
Just came out in theaters. We'd love to hear what you think of it, and especially in relation to what we thought of it. We'd love to hear what you have to say. In terms of the Golden Globes, we would love to hear your opinion on that as well. If you would like to be a guest on our show, if you know us personally, just reach out to us If you do not know us personally and happen to stumble across the podcast, leave a comment, message us in some way, either on the Instagram or through YouTube. We are open to doing Skype interviews.
Or if you want to message us and you don't know us, we would be open to you asking us some questions about the film you may have, or just letting you know your opinions, and we can elaborate on them for our podcast. I believe that is concluding our first episode. Make sure to tune in next time. I am Dylan Maynor.
I'm Cameron Fisher, and this is For Your Reviewing Pleasure.
Thank you.